So today, this week, we're going to talk about wound closure using glue, and it's a very good skill to have. Often it seems quite intuitive, but if it's done incorrectly, it can result in poor cosmetic result and later wound dehiscence. So we're going to talk about how to do it properly using the correct procedures. It's a very good way of closing wounds, because it's very quick, easy, it's relatively pain-free, and it can have good cosmetic results when done well. There's only certain types of wounds that are suitable for closure with glue, and those tend to be ones that are straight, that have edges that easily oppose each other without having much tension, that have a sharp edge as opposed to a jagged edge, ones that are less than 12 hours old. If more than that, then they're not suitable, and ones that are not too deep, so not going down to the bone and like deep muscle structures. Here is a list of wounds that are not suitable, and then you can also use them, however, on lacerations in the scalp and on flap wounds. And that brings us nicely into the two types of glue that you can have. So they look fairly similar. There's the Liquiband Standard, which is useful for scalp wounds, and its nozzle is something that looks like that. It doesn't have a sponge on the end, and that's quite useful for scalp wounds because you can just drop the drops of glue into the wound rather than running it across the wound. And then there's the control flow or flow control glue, which is also very useful. That you tend to use more for everywhere else in the body, especially over the face. And the reason that we use this one is because it has a little sponge at the end, so it allows the glue to run uniformly along the laceration. So Joanne, you're going to show us how to do wound closure with glue?
Yes, yeah.
Cool.
So there's a few things you need to do before you can actually go ahead and apply the glue. So we've broken that down into 3 C's, 2 P's, and then apply and hold. So the first of your C's is clean the wound. So you can use that with some normal gauze and some sterile gauze and saline. And you can also use a syringe of saline as well to properly irrigate the wound and make sure it's nice and clean. Then go ahead and dry the wound. After that, you can then check that the wound is suitable for gluing, and so to do that you want to check that the edges are going to oppose together nicely. So say it's open like that, and you want to check that they're going to come together like that. So this wound is suitable on Bobby the banana. So then the other thing you want to check for is that you've achieved hemostasis. So the wound is not actively bleeding, because if it is, then the glue just won't work. So then you can move on to your first P, which is positioning the child. So if there's a headlock, then often having them at the end of the bed, a parent and an extra pair of hands is always really helpful. Get them in a nice comfortable position. And then forgotten the P, and it will come back to me, which is protect the eye. Really important one. So yeah, you want to protect the eye if it's quite close to like the eyebrow. You don't want the glue to run into the eye and stick the eye together. So you can just apply some Vaseline and some gauze just as a barrier against the glue. So then, after we've done all that, I think we're ready to go ahead and glue.
Okay.
Yeah.
So keep nice and still, Bobby.
I'm just going to clean that.
Well done, Bobby. You're doing great.
Might have to give it an extra clean. The edges come together nicely. And then the glue comes, I forgot to say, in the control flow comes in 2 separate parts, so this will actually come separately. So then you snap off the cap on the top and pop that on, and then you want to prime this end bit here, so make sure the glue is all the way through to the end and that it's coming out, so you can check that just by running it along some gauze or something similar. So I'm just going to prime this again. Yes, I'm happy the glue is coming out.
Are you happy with my positioning?
Yes, happy with that. Oh. And then just run it along there. You might have to do a couple of layers. And then you want to hold that for 10 to 20 seconds to make sure it's nice and dry.
Great. And Gemma, am I right in saying that you're trying to apply the glue over the two opposing edges as opposed to filling the wound gap with the glue?
Correct. Otherwise it won't join the edges together.
Okay, that's I think, was that been 10?
So yeah, that's
10
probably been about
seconds
10
or so.
seconds. You can probably
Okay.
let go.
All right, so I'm going
And
to just
hopefully
let
that
go.
should stay.
Yeah, great. That's a really great result. He's going to be really happy with that when he's older.
Good.
Okay, so then what do you tell parents when you're sending them on their way?
Yeah, so then it's really important to tell parents that they need to keep the wound clean and dry for 5 days. You can give them a little leaflet to remind them of that, but yes, and make sure you tell them that.
Yeah, and sometimes though things don't go quite to plan, right? So because the glue sets within about 10 to 20 seconds, if you've applied the glue and you realise that you've not really maybe got the edges opposed perfectly and you want to redo it, if you can quickly wipe away the glue within those 10 seconds, then the glue hasn't set, so it's okay to do so. But after that period of time, if the glue's already set and you're trying to unpick the glue, it's a bit of a nightmare. So it's really important to try and make sure that you've got those cosmetic features all sorted before you apply the glue. But if you do need to remove the glue later, then you can use some warm soapy water if it's not anywhere near the eye, and some Vaseline, and try and just unpick the glue bits there. If the eye has been unfortunately glued shut, then you can use some warm water and try and clean out the glue bits from the eye. The main thing is to try and keep the eye open, and so ophthalmology opinion would also be very useful in that situation. Yeah, okay, great. I think he's going to be all right with that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gemma.
Great. Thanks.